Okay. So I'm just going to look here to see if I can see this on our. I see it. We're live. Yay. And I'm just going to preface this, but I think maybe our Costco delivery is coming in, which means my dog's going to go crazy. So he's warned. So I just want to start off by welcoming everybody to a series that I've developed called Strong as a Mother. My name is Stacy Uhrig, and today my guest is Allyson Fusella. And I'm going to go over real quick in a minute about how Allyson and I met, but just a couple of housekeeping notes. I am at home with the rest of the world, and I do see a food delivery coming in, and I do have a dog. So you've been warned. There may be some barking in the very near future, or you may see children walking past, or you may hear somebody yelling at someone. That's the way we have to roll these days. I created the Strong as a Mother series based on a mug that I found at Target. I recently started drinking coffee again, and I was looking for a mug that was inspiring, and I found one that said Strong as a Mother, and I thought, that's me. I'm resilient. I've been through a lot. That's going to be my mug. And every single time I was using my mug, it just made me think about how this particular time with coronavirus and COVID-19, so many people are so stressed out, but I feel confident in saying that there are many people who have gone through something harder than COVID-19. We may have, we're always in positions where we have to pivot and adjust. And I think that people forget how much pivoting and adjusting they've done in their lives, and that this is just another example of it. And so I'm putting together a series with different people I've met throughout my journey who I feel can help people who are watching this series gain a better understanding of their own resilience, their own control over their response to the situation, and walk away hopefully feeling a little bit more empowered versus under attack from what's going on. So that's just a little housekeeping note. My guest today is Allyson Fusella. And I'm saying your name correctly, right, Allyson?
Yes.
Okay.
Fusella.
Allyson, I met through a women's empowerment group called BIG. I happened to be giving a talk on resilience at a big pod in Montville, New Jersey. And Allyson happened to be there, and she caught my eye because she was sharing some of the things that she specializes in: tapping, EFT, something called HeartMath, and Neurolinguistic Programming. And as I've been building my resilience coaching and resilience mentoring practice, I've become very interested in especially the Neurolinguistic Programming. And so I thought she would be a really great person to have come on today, because I know personally the language that we use, the words that we use, they dictate our environment. They really set up everything that's going on in our personal space. And my hope is that today people can walk away being more aware of the language that they're using during this time. So Allyson, maybe you can take a moment to kind of introduce yourself and share how you got into this. Share with us a little bit about Neurolinguistic Programming.
Okay, hi Stacy, thank you so much for having me. My name is Allyson Fusella, and I am a life coach. I own Foundations Health and Wellness Coaching, and I got into this journey just really through my own struggles in my life. I decided to to get certified in. As I was coaching, I was recognizing that there's a lot of commonalities that we all have with my different clients, and I decided to get these various certifications. I know for myself, just recognizing the language that I speak and how I speak to myself mattered a lot about what I was creating in my own reality. Having said that, I want to make mention that it is very important to honor what we are actually feeling. So there are a bunch of different modalities that I have, like you had mentioned, EFT and HeartMath. Those two things are, EFT is an acupressure tapping sequence that it helps change subconscious thought patterns. So you can address what you're actually feeling, but shift them. It shifts your physiology. And then HeartMath is a scientifically proven stress management technique that really teaches the heart-brain communication patterns and how that affects your stress and your physiology. But the neurolinguistic program we're going to talk about today is exciting because, and I love all three of them. And I actually have a program that we'll talk about later if people want more help in this area. But the neurolinguistic programming is so important because we talk to ourselves all day long. And the things that we say, they really matter. And I know for me, being aware of what you are speaking about is the first step. Awareness is the key. And if you start to listen and just kind of be an observer of what your thoughts are and what comes out of your mouth, that's how I really shifted myself in big ways. Because as you said, you said that you were going to walk this morning and talking to people, and you when you observe what you're saying, you're like, oh my God, look what's coming out of my mouth. Look what I'm constantly saying. Everybody, like, even if something like you're like, oh, that doesn't bother me that much, but then everybody that you speak to, it's flying out of your mouth. It's like, you know what, that actually does bother me. So there's two things. There's something like we have to really look at what we're saying, but also we have to acknowledge what we're actually feeling, because every thought, thought is energy, and every thought that we have creates a feeling, and our feelings dictate our actions, and then our actions really they lead to a result. So if we don't like our results and we don't like what's going on in our life, we really have to look at the thoughts that are creating them. And I know that sometimes that feels like we have no power over that, but we have a lot of power over it. And I teach my kids that. They're like, I can't help it, I just think that. And I'm like, yeah, but you can really control what you think, and you have options to changing your perception. And long-term repetitive thought patterns become your belief system, and ultimately we will manifest what we believe, not what we want. And that's what's so important.
And it's very interesting that you bring that up. And you and I spoke yesterday about the difference between verbalizing a thought and just thinking a thought. And I had done a presentation, a workshop recently, and I was talking about different types of language, victim language versus thriver language, and how we see our own personal stories, and the language that we use dictates what we feel we're capable of doing in our life, right?
Yeah.
And so someone actually raised their hand and said, well, what if I say out loud to people X, but I really believe Y? But I'm kind of just saying X so people don't think that Y is really my belief system. And I said, and I don't really know a lot about neurolinguistic programming, so I'm so excited about this. But I said to her, whatever it is that you believe is equally as strong, if not stronger, than the words that you use to describe it, because your belief system is what you believe either you're worthy of or that you're capable of. And those are the things that are going to dictate what happens in your surroundings.
Absolutely.
Today I was on a walk, and I want to use this example because I think it's happening a lot. People know me as a very positive person. I'm a positive thought leader. People call me the mindset mama. A lot of people come to me when they're in struggle, seeking help. And I found myself on the struggle bus this morning. I think because we're like in the middle of week 3 now, and we've kind of done this adjustment shift, I feel like now there's a second adjustment shift that needs to come. Like we kind of all got used to being at home, but now we need to get used to being at home. At least I'm struggling with this in my own personal life. We're used to being at home, and now we need to shift again about not just being home, but being home and making this more of a new norm and making this more of a productive time. versus we're just sitting around and waiting time.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was challenged by that. I was talking to a friend about that this morning when I was on the walk with my dog, and I could listen to myself. And I think I was super aware because I knew you and I were going to talk about the language I was using, and it was more victim language than it was thriving language. And then I spoke to my mom on the phone, and it's interesting watching how everybody is experiencing this differently and dealing with it differently. And it makes me think of Enneagrams. I don't know how familiar you are with that, but I'm starting to identify types based on how people are reacting to this COVID virus. And my mom is very angry. She feels like there's so much injustice happening, and she's very angry. And today she was very angry. She wanted to talk about how, you know, these cruise ships are not being allowed to come into Florida, and all these people are sick on the ships. And, you know, I was listening to her, and then I was buying into it. And then I could hear myself saying, you know what, you're right. This is a effing disaster. This is a shit show. This is. And as I was saying these things, I could feel my blood pressure going up, my heart rate going up. I was getting tense, and I could feel myself getting into that physical shift of what those toxic negative words can bring into my space. And I thought, oh my God, I'm so glad this is happening right now, because I need Allyson this morning. I need an Allyson shift. So it was good, because I feel like that's probably something a lot of people are experiencing now when they are talking to people on the phone. People want to talk about all the things that are wrong with the situation.
Yes.
And we can either buy into that or we don't. But when we're focusing on that, maybe you could talk a little bit about what happens physiologically and what we can do to try to improve that situation, because it's so easy to go down that rabbit hole right now.
Absolutely. And I want to mention, like, I don't want people to feel like that they have to just, that what they're feeling isn't valid, because it is valid. And there's a lot of good that can come from feeling what we're feeling. I mean, we must feel, process, and release what we are actually feeling, because pretending that we are, like you said, pretending that we're, you know, that we're happy and fine and talking positive when we're not feeling that, that doesn't work anyway. The potential to create your environment and your mentality is limitless. You can, you know, but we have to learn to focus on what we want, not what we don't want. And we have to look at that and shift it when we see those things happening. Like, one of the reasons, I don't know if you're familiar with the work of Joe Dispenza. Did you ever hear of Joe Dispenza?
If I had $1 for every single time somebody's brought Joe Dispenza to my attention in the last 4 months, it is the universe's way of like knocking me overhead with a whiteboard that I need to start following Joe Dispenza.
Yeah, because he explains why positive thinking doesn't work.
Okay.
Because the you know, the electromagnetic field that surrounds us, that gives and receives information, you know, he speaks about, you have to make an intent, which is your mind, but you also have to get into the feeling of it, which is your heart. So that's why the HeartMath is important, because the heart brain communication is so imperative. So you have to match the intent with the feeling of it. So if we're feeling something, you know, we have to really acknowledge that feeling. And then that is actually a way of loving ourselves, because it is there to help us. I mean, fear, where everybody's in a lot of fear right now, and fear is not necessarily a bad emotion. It helps us, it protects us, right? It doesn't need to paralyze us, but it makes us aware. It's like, if you are fearful, you are going to be more cautious, but then you can choose how you want to present and acknowledge and love yourself in that moment. So I'm going to give you an example for myself. Like, you know, last week I went food shopping yesterday, and it's like, last week I was very, very nervous to be food shopping, because I was like you said, we didn't know what to expect, and I didn't have gloves, I didn't have a mask. Everywhere I looked, you know, there were people with gloves and masks, and people wouldn't go near you or look at you or smile at you. Like, it was it felt hostile, it felt scary, And so I was in there, I could barely breathe. So like what you said, like what happens to you physiologically is that you go into fight or flight and your heart beats fast, your body is flooded with cortisol and adrenaline. So when your heart's beating fast, it tells your brain something's wrong. So your brain's looking around and you're like, it's like, you're in fight or flight, you're in your limbic brain, you're not calm, you're not peaceful, everybody's your enemy. So yes, that could be good in a certain situation, but where we're at, we need to come together in peace and love. So yesterday, before I went food shopping, the same thing was happening to me. My heart started racing and I was nervous, and I'm trying to feed my family, and I knew I had so much food shopping to do. I had like such a huge order. My kids are constantly complaining there's nothing to eat when there's so much food in this house. So I said, okay, I spoke to myself. I loved myself. I acknowledge you have every right to be fearful. I hear you. However, what we're going to focus on, so be fearful. It's okay. It's not going to paralyze me though. So when I go into that store, I am going to focus on the fact that my immune system is strong and that we are going to come together. So I was choosing as I was acknowledging the fear, I was choosing things to think when I went into the store. So when somebody, treated me like I had the plague and they wouldn't look at me and just like, not go down the aisle, I was like, it's okay, because they're protecting themselves and we still can love each other and we still can connect. And my immune system is strong. And I want to give you all too, like something that you can do. Like you can tap your thymus gland here, and you can set an intent and make it right in your mid chest. If you just do it with all 5 fingers, you can't miss the spot. And you can just sit and say, and it activates your thymus gland, which relates to your immune system. And you can tap and say, my immune system is strong, and I am grateful for the fact that I have this immune system, because that's our God-given protection against any bacteria and virus. I mean, the truth is our body heals us. Like medicine helps, and it helps alleviate symptoms, but our body heals us, and it helps you get in touch with God and with your faith and just with your own magnificence. So the shift was, so when I was in the store, right, I gave myself, and there were a couple moments like I would feel like my heart racing, and I felt like I was getting anxiety, and I was like, you're good, girl. You're okay. And it's okay to be afraid. And we are all in this together. And your immune system is strong, and you're feeding your family, and you are powerful. And this is great. And there's lots of chocolate. And so like you would like the chocolate aisle is full. We have no toilet paper, but we have tons of chocolate. That's all you really need. Right?
And wine for me too. Chocolate and
yes, wine and chocolate, you're good. And so I just stayed there, and that's what I chose. So like it was a choice. So that's why like it's okay to be afraid. That's why I don't want to minimize anybody's feelings at all. What we're saying is, yes, we're afraid, and that's a good thing. That's part of our protection, but we can acknowledge it, and we can shift our thoughts about it. So we could still be afraid, but then forge forward with positive thinking and feeling. Like I wasn't just like, I'm terrified, but I'm gonna try to fake myself into thinking nice things. It doesn't work. But I had to get myself into a state of, and tapping helps a lot, and we'll talk about that in another time. But this tapping point is really good. And then also, this is called the gamut point. It's the little divot between your pinky finger and your ring finger. If you tap there, or if you press on that, it calms your vagus nerve, and it calms your fight or flight. And if you breathe into that, that's a good point. It's an acupressure point to just kind of help you calm. And then you can think, you come back online, and you can be like, I am afraid, but I'm okay. Like, I'm okay. I'm healthy. I'm at a store. Thank God I am at a store. I'm not at a hospital. Right. And
let me ask you that, because I was thinking that while you were talking, like, it was interesting. I saw somebody post yesterday that I'm good friends with. Him and his wife are really great cooks, and they're really great bakers. And he's a lawyer, but the wife actually has like a food delivery business. Like she makes like really wholesome, organic, plant-based meals and delivers them. That's her business. They live down south, and they actually said, we're going to stop posting pictures about food because there's too many people that don't have that. This, we just really want to be cognizant. And so my point is you and I, you know, we're talking about going to the food store and all of these things, and for that might, for us, that might be a stressful thing, but that's also a graceful thing, because if that's our biggest worry, right?
Yep.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. How do you utilize the neurolinguistic programming when someone's in a real fight or flight situation? For example, their loved one is in ICU right now and they can't be with them, and you know, they have fear that that person's life's going to end. You know, how do you work with somebody in that scenario? Because unfortunately, I think over the next 2 weeks, more and more people are going to be experiencing that. How do we help those people?
Yeah. So in that situation, the way, you know, like, and like I said, this is all something that we do for ourselves, and that, so just acknowledging that those fears are real and that they're scary, right? But then that's how, I mean, to me, you can't do life without God. I mean, you just can't. So to me, that's where, that's the opportunity to really dive into, like what I was going to say, like for the people that do not have that problem, that, you know, that don't have people that they know that are sick. When you feel fear, I was going to offer you this: take the time to shift your mind to pray for the nurses and pray for the doctors and pray for the sick people. And then the people that are going through that, I want you to take the time to feel the love that is around you, because you don't know it. I'm going to start crying. You don't know it, but there's a lot of people praying for you. There's a lot of people loving you that don't know you and that are praying for your loved ones. So when you are scared to death, I want you to go into that space. I want you to go into your own heart and know that we are all connected, and we don't know you, but we are here and we are praying and we are loving you from afar. And that's what I want. So that's what I want those people to focus on, that there's so much love surrounding them that they don't know. God's love, our love, we got this. Like, we've got this. So the people, you know, I beg of the people that are healthy, right? And like you said, that the worst thing we have to worry about is to go to the store, that when we're worried, we focus on, we do not let that take over our minds. We pray for every single human being that is struggling. And then the people that have loved ones, you know with every fiber of your being that we are here, that we are praying for you, that we are lifting you up and holding that space. And that, you know, that this is this shift that's happening is, you know, to get more in touch with ourselves and each other. You know, did you see that thing that Brene Brown wrote about, you know, we don't have to be scary when we're scared. Let's choose each other. Let's choose love. That's how you use this, you know, to focus. You have to focus your language and focus your self-talk and focus your feelings onto, and feel it, like not just think it, like not, I don't want you just to, if you're struggling, I don't want you to just think, oh, maybe somebody's thinking of me or praying for me. I want you to feel it. That's the difference. Because their energy is, you know, energy is limitless. And there's a lot of people, you, me, and a lot of people are emitting a lot of love and a lot of energy. So I want you to feel like we're hugging you and feel like we got you and feel it, you know, don't think it, like really get into your heart space, breathe in and out, use your breath. Your breath is huge. And I'll talk more about that with HeartMath, but you know, breathe in, hold it, and then exhale as slowly and as long as you can. The longer the exhale, the more you stimulate the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve calms your fight or flight. So if you're breathing from your top of your chest and you're like that.
Which I think so many people are doing now.
So many people, you know, I mean, I was my son, you know, he's been home from work, and then last night, he's like, they called me back to work. I can't do what I need to do here. And to me, it's a non-essential business. And I was like, I don't want you to, like, I want to wrap them all in bubble wrap and just keep them here. Just keep them here. And so I had to do this, you know, I'm like, he is okay. And I'm going to protect him to the best of my ability with the love and peace and prayer. And so that's what we can all do. So I think that's huge.
Don't you find it so interesting? I'm thinking about this while you're talking, that I don't believe in our lifetime, because we really haven't endured a world war in our lifetime. I think we're probably the same age. I'm 48.
Thanks, Stacy.
I'm better.
I'm like 10 years older than you. Thank you.
Woo, good for you.
Yeah.
But my thought is, we have not, and I'm going to use this word very cautiously, we have not had the opportunity or the gift as global citizens worldwide to have the same fear. And we have not had the opportunity or the gift worldwide to come together and do what you just talked about.
Yeah.
Praying, giving love, sending good energy to people. You know, there are so many gifts in this challenge. And this is something that I've talked about a lot. I've been saying this for years, that there's a gift in every challenge. And sometimes I have to be really careful, because I'll get a nasty gram from somebody that's like, F you, you know, my child died or this died. And I'm never saying that the physical challenge is the gift. It's all of the opportunities that can come out of a challenging experience that can be a gift.
Absolutely.
And there are so many gifts here. Number one is to hear people like you talk and learn about ways that we can get through tough times. It's the opportunity to band together, even though we can't be physically together, to love other people other than ourselves. You know, absolutely. I did a talk yesterday with somebody. I tend to practice Buddhism as kind of my core philosophy of life. And I was speaking to another gal who's also Buddhist, and it's a very big thing in Buddhism that, you know, you take on other people's pain and you sacrifice and you do things for the betterment of other people. And I feel like that's one of the biggest gifts that's coming out of this challenge right now, is not even knowing who it is that you're praying for.
Yes.
It's having the opportunity to send general love into the universe, knowing that it can actually lift up and heal someone, and praying for the wisdom and the strength for the people that are so taxed emotionally and physically, that are on the front lines, or healthcare workers. You know, you and I, we both live very close to New York City, so we turn on our local news, and it's going to be very different than somebody that's living out in Wyoming or Montana right now.
Yeah.
You know, we're 30 miles from, you know, really like a war, like people really dealing with a monster. And again, I just took this deep breath, because I'm like using these words that are so intense to describe this situation, but you know, you can't sugarcoat what the situation is either.
Right.
And so just the fact that we can, like you said, when we are in our own headspace and we're going down the rabbit hole, number one, becoming aware of it. And number two, shifting and taking that energy and putting it into a more positive space and pushing it out to somebody that needs it, and kind of flipping it. Is that part of what you were sharing?
Absolutely. And I also want to say, like, the people that are out there on the front lines, they're also get as much as, they're also, I want them to feel and receive the love that we're all sending. I also want them, this is also an opportunity for them to really own their own magnificence and their strength and their courage, and to see what they are made of, and to be really damn ass proud of themselves, and to really feel that, like to own that, you know, like we talked about in the beginning. I heard you say, like, own your story, you know, and that's part of their story now. Like that's something to be amazed at, you know, like that. Like I love the saying, nobody is you, and that's your superpower. But they're badass superheroes, you know, and they have that opportunity. Like once they, I mean, right now they're in, you know, they're in adrenaline, you know, is pumping, but when they get quiet, they're going to have that gift too, to see what they are made of, and how loving, how sacrificial that they chose to be, and the courage and the magnificence of them as individuals, which just lifts all of us. It's an amazing, there's a lot of love, you know, there's a lot of love going on here. And yeah, so if we can tap into that, so like I get the fear and it's real and I'll never take it away from anybody, and you get to feel it, we can process it, the EFT can take the emotional sting out of it. But also if you make a shift to really choose to tap into the love, there's only really two emotions, fear and love, and there's a lot of love going on in this world right now, as much as there is fear. So if you tap into that and reach out, you know, you're going to see, and like you said, just looking at those first responders and understanding the level of love and commitment and courage that it takes to go out there and put themselves on the line, and we tap into that and lift them in that space, it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. I can't agree more. So I want to wrap it up because we've been going a good half hour, and I think this has been really great. And I know you and I spoke about this yesterday, about doing a part 2 next week and talking more about EFT. And, you know, once you've been able to acknowledge the language, how do you then release it, right? Because you were talking about feeling, processing, and releasing. So next week we talk about the releasing part, which I think is going to be really great.
Awesome.
I just want to finish up with a fast 5. So I'm just going to ask you 5 different things that are your favorite, and you just say the first thing that comes to your mind. So what's your favorite food these days?
Brownies.
Ooh, I thought you were going to say wine. Are you making the brownies yourself?
Yes.
Yum.
Antioxidants, chocolate.
Yeah. Do you have a good recipe?
I actually make them, because I'm gluten-free, so I actually make them with black beans.
Oh, can you send us the recipe? Will you put the recipe in the comments here?
I sure will.
Oh, that'd be great. Okay. Favorite author?
Brene Brown.
Me too. Favorite, see, now I have to put on my glasses. I can't even read my own. Oh, so much better. Favorite Netflix these days?
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I don't watch TV.
Oh my gosh. So what are you doing at night? Because I think a lot of people are binge watching TV.
I'm like, I have three kids in their 20s. All they do is eat. I'm cooking and cleaning in the kitchen. That's where you'll find me.
Okay.
But can I say my favorite TV show?
Yes.
I love Million Little Things.
You know what? It's funny you should mention that, because I watched it when it first started coming out, and then I stopped. So I am looking for something to watch. So maybe I'll go back and find.
Oh my God, I love it. And This Is Us. I love those 2 shows.
I know. I need to finish that too.
And I binge watch Law and Order. So those are my 3. Okay.
I watched, I was sick in February, and I was in bed for 4 days, and I caught up on, I think I have like 3 episodes of This Is Us left. So I feel pretty caught up. That was a good one. All right. Favorite curse word?
Oh, definitely fuck.
That seems to be the going one.
It releases so much tension.
Doesn't it?
Oh my God. I've been apologizing for it like daily here. I'm like, fuck. I'm so sorry, kids. I'm so sorry. Mommy stress. Sorry.
You know, I taught my kids that when used appropriately, the word is simply a sentence enhancer. So, right? So like if you
the greatest sentence enhancer ever.
You're just really have so much passion behind what you're saying. It just in order to get it fully out there, you just have to throw a couple of sentences.
I feel like a new woman once I yeah, I feel like a new woman. Seriously.
All right, last one. Favorite mantra.
Favorite mantra. Love. Just choose love.
I love it. That's a really, really great way to end. So, can you share with people if they want to know more about what you do or how they can find you?
Absolutely.
What's the best
Thank
thing
you.
to do?
Thank you. Yes, I have a website, foundations with an S coach.com, which tells you about the my coaching practices, the EFT and HeartMath, life coaching. And then I also have a great program that I developed, which I think is really essential for this time of our lives. It's called Power of Pain. You can look at that. There's a link on my Foundations Coach website, but you can also go to powerofpainprogram.com. That'll tell you all about my program, and it'll tell you about it. What it essentially does is teaches you how to make your pain your purpose. And I think that's really needed right now.
It is really, really needed right now. That's awesome. So we'll have you back on again next week. We'll
I'm
talk
still
more
looking
about
forward
the
to it.
release part of the feel process and release. This has been awesome. I'm so glad that we made the decision to do this. You're so welcome. And if people have questions, comment them below. If you want, follow Allyson here on Facebook. Are you on Instagram?
Yeah, Foundations Coach.
Foundations Coach. Okay, great. Thank you so much, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.